Did you know the weights in wrestling have changed many times over the years? Let's stop stalling and start talking wrestling. What's going on, wrestling fans? My name is Josiah and welcome to Fanco Wrestling. And in this video, I'm going to tell you all about the history of the Pennsylvania weight changes dating back to 1938. Now, I know a thing or two about these weight class changes, considering the fact that I've been through a weight class change myself since I was a wrestler in Pennsylvania. But first, let's talk about 1938, when the first ever weight class, the lightest weight class, was 85 pounds. And the heaviest was 185 pounds. Now, that's a little bit bizarre to think about, considering the fact that now the heaviest weight is 285 pounds. So 85 is the lightest, 185 is the heaviest. And they're actually at the first ever PIAA Wrestling Championships. They were held in State College, Pennsylvania. That's right, they were held at Penn State, and there were 10 wrestlers per weight class. There were a total of 78 wrestlers at the tournament. Now, if you're wondering why that math doesn't add up, that's just because there weren't even enough wrestlers to fill up the whole event. Now, over the years, that has changed a bit as wrestling has grown and the teams have grown. Originally, there were 27 teams at the first ever PIAA State Championships, but obviously that number has increased over the year, which was good for wrestling. Looking at the first weight changes in 1942, so those weight changes, these weights held from 38 to 41. The first weight changes were in 1942, when 85 pounds was essentially cut, and 95 pounds, it kind of increased to 95 pounds, the first weight increase. And from there on, most of these other weights just changed just slightly in order to make up for that lightest weight bumping up. You can see 95 bumping up to 103, 112. So you see that these weight changes kind of bump up, but 185 is still the heaviest weight. But that change went into effect in 1960, when in 1960 the unlimited weight class was added. Unlimited was a weight class above 180, where essentially there was no limit. It was unlimited. So you could be 300 pounds wrestling a 200-pound wrestler, and that was totally legal. That was totally fair. That was just a weight class at the time. Other than that, there weren't really any other weight changes. You see 180 bumping down from 185 to 180 just to give even more of a gap for unlimited, which was just absolutely insane. Now, this lasted for 13 seasons throughout the 60s all the way up until 1972. In 1972 season to 1973, that's when we started to see even more weight changes take effect. Now, the unlimited stayed the same. 180 bumped back up to 185 pounds. You saw a couple like 1 pound, 2 pound changes, and then 95 being bumped up to 98 pounds. And this is really where we start to see a big trend, because we started out at 85 pounds back in 1938, and now we're all the way up to 98 pounds. So this is just a slight trend where we see weight class, the lightest weight class, being bumped up and up and up and up. And just a note on that, to be honest, this just kind of makes sense, considering the fact that people back in the 30s, back in the 40s, their just median weights, their median heights were just smaller back in those times. And that's why we see a lot of these weight classes changing effect. The awesome thing is in 1989 was when we actually received even one additional weight class. Now, we did bump up 98 pounds to 103 pounds at this point now, but we also had a new weight class at 140 pounds. And that was essentially snuck right in there. And these were really the biggest change since that 1938 season. You know, you saw a couple changes here and there, but this was the biggest weight change here. We saw essentially the elimination of the 98 pounds, the addition of 103, from there on, the addition of 140 pounds, and the addition of 171 pounds. So those are where those two weights are coming into effect. And then unlimited was no more. Unlimited changed to 275 pounds in 1989. From 1989 to 2002, so for many of those seasons, we saw these weight changes going into effect. From 2003, that was when the next weight change came into effect, and we saw the addition where we had 14 weight classes now, with the addition of the 215-pound weight class. So at this point, we have the most weights we've ever had in Pennsylvania wrestling history, starting off with 10 back then, moving up a bit, and now we're at 14 weight classes, which is as many weight classes that we have at this point in 2020. And then we move on to 2007. So every single weight stayed the same here, except for 215. That was just an additional weight. Moving on to 2007, we saw the heavyweight moving up from 275 up to 285. So that was just, an addition for heavyweights, where it's not unlimited, still not unlimited, but at least an increase in weight. Then is the biggest weight change, again, since this 1989 season. A couple changes here and there, but 2012, the 2011-2012 season was when we saw big changes take effect, whenever we essentially eliminated a lighter weight in the hopes that, we could get more wrestlers at heavier weights. And this was done, whereas, weights back here were increased because the competition was increasing. This was done based on studies of over a couple 100,000 wrestlers throughout a couple year period, where the PIAA, the national even weight class associations, wanted to have 7% of each wrestlers at a weight class. So this was an even distribution across all weights, and that's where we got to the weights where we are today. Bumping from 103, now we're bumping up again to 106 pounds as the lightest weight. A couple of changes here. You see an additional pound or two that's increased, but the biggest thing is that we essentially eliminated 140 pounds going from 2011 to 2012 season, eliminated 140 pounds, and we added 195 pounds. There could be new weight class changes coming in the 2020 season and beyond. And if you're interested in learning how those can affect you or what those weights are, make sure that you check out this video. I'm sure you'll be very interested in learning what that is. So stop stalling and keep watching wrestling.